Folks, I've learned a lot by watching other people's tank builds, and in that light, I'd like to share my tank build for the Kribensis Fry grow-out tank. I'm going simple and low maintenance on this tank build, but I'm hoping that maybe it'll give you an idea for your next build. The Kribensis Fry grow-out tank coming up. So here is what the kids are going to get. Again, I believe this is a 15.7 gallon rimless tank, but the goal here is a very simple setup. I'm going to use simple plants, simple substrate on a budget. I didn't want to spend a lot of money on this tank, and I'm not sure what the brand of tank this is. I've purchased these before at my local fish store. They've always done well for me, so thought I'd give it a try again. And the first step is the water test. I want to make sure, obviously, there are no leaks in the tank. So I take it out to the backyard and I want to make sure I fill it up and watch it for a little while, looking at the corners, making sure that there aren't any leaks and that the tank is holding water just fine. And once I fill this up, I will keep this filled up for probably about an hour just to make sure that no leak pops. So while I'm cleaning my substrate, I'm going to leave this filled with water in the backyard. But so far, things are looking good, no leaks. Now the substrate I'm going to use is very cheap, number 20 pool filter sand. This is what is in Patriot's tank. It's about $10 for that entire bag of substrate. So very economical, very cheap, and I've had a lot of success using pool filter sand and root tabs, so I thought I would go for that. Now here's what it looks like out of the bag. Keep in mind, if you do want to use pool filter sand, it is dusty. This is after about 10 to 12 washes. I finally got it clean enough and went back after an hour to check my tank. No leaks, we're looking good. Wanted to clean it just a little bit, and my go-to for that is plain white vinegar. You can also use hydrogen peroxide or barkeeper's friend, which works very well. That and a little elbow grease, and the tank was clean and ready to go upstairs. So I'm going to take this upstairs. We're going to stop for a quick commercial break, and we will be right back.
Folks, Patriot here. Being an actor and beta model, I have to keep my fins in top shape. That's why I use Cordon Fish Projector.
No.
What?
Cordon Fish Protector.
Oh.
Okay, you ready? Here we go. From That's Why I Use. Ready?
Ready.
Here we go.
That's why I use Corroding Fish Protractor.
No. Do it again.
That's why I forgot the line.
Come on, we rehearsed this a ton.
What do you want me to say, Food Man? Like you put pink stuff in the water and it heals my fins?
Yes, good. That's a wrap. Folks, welcome back. I've got the tank upstairs and dumped all the water out that I had in the pool filter sand and brought it up in a bucket. And it was time to start smoothing this out. Now, I, again, have had a lot of success with pool filter sand, so I hope this works for me. And what I try to do is to get about an inch and a half of the pool filter sand. You'll see at the end, I went a little overboard. I wanted to make sure that the plant roots had enough substrate to root in. And what I'm going for is, much like this back left-hand corner, about an inch and a half of the pool filter sand. Going for easy and low maintenance on this tank. I want to use very simple plants. Now for the hardscape, I just looked around at what I had lying around, and that's what I'm going to use. This is all recycled rocks and driftwood that I've had in other tanks, and I wasn't quite sure what shape they were all in. I wanted to clean it, and the way I like to do that is just simply to boil it for a couple hours. I wanted to make sure any nasties were killed off, or maybe any algae spores if I could get them. Some of these rocks and some of the driftwood came out of my old 20-gallon tank, which did have a big algae problem. So as another precaution, I went and used some hydrogen peroxide. I knew this coconut hut was absolutely covered in algae in the 20-gallon tank. Now, I didn't end up using this, but I got it nice and clean, and it's now in storage. So a little hydrogen peroxide. This is a toothbrush I only use for fish-related activities, but you can see all the algae that came off of that coconut hut. And just a few rocks. There were some pieces of dragonstone that I cleaned as well. I thought I might use them in this grow-out tank. I didn't end up using any of it, but it's nice and clean anyway. So not knowing what I was going to use, I have some old gravel, some old rocks and driftwood, and I'm certainly not going for a complicated aquascape here either. I just want the Krib Fry to be comfortable in the tank. The only thing I did spend a little money on is the lighting, the Phoenix 24/7 Planet Plus CC. This is the third in their series, coming after the original 24/7 Planet Plus, then the Planet Plus SE, and now this is the CC. I already like the color spectrum. nice blue spectrum, but Phoenix is doing a better job at adding more red spectrum and toning down the greens and the yellows just a little bit. So I was excited to see how this light would perform. Doing something a little bit different on the root tabs from the good folks at Nylock G. I love their liquid fertilizer. I thought I'd give their root tabs a try, so I bought the Thrive tabs and the MTS capsules. Now I did call Nylock G support, they're fantastic there, and asked should I use tabs or capsules. They told me the nutrients are about the same, so you should use one or the other, but what I found is they're both great. The tabs cover large areas and the MTS capsules are smaller, and you can put those in smaller crevices or strategically around the tank. So I ended up using both in this tank, but you can see how big that tab was that I put in the water. Now under that tab, here is where I'm planting some Sturigani repens. And I hope this does well for me. It's never done well in a deep tank, but I'm hoping the combination of this lighting and this tank not being deep will finally give me that carpet that I've been looking for out of the S repens for a while. So I had the area covered with that Thrive tab on the left-hand side, and I wanted to cover the right-hand side. So one more Thrive tab went down, and of course this will disperse over time under the substrate. But I wanted to make sure that I had the right side of the tank covered as well. Now once that was in, I also planted some micro sword, and if I have a plant nemesis, it's micro sword. I've never been able to grow it. I'm not quite sure why, but I'm going to try again. When it was all said and done, here is what we have. Simple plants. Anubias congensis on the driftwood on the right-hand side. On the left is an Amazon sword, but it is called an apart. It's more flat in growth as opposed to vertical and doesn't take up as much space under the substrate. We have Anubias nana on the driftwood in the middle. Again, another simple plant. Micro sword, my nemesis. Hopefully it grows. We'll see what happens here, folks. And we have the Sturigani repens in the front. I have had some success with this. I have a Crypt undulata in the middle. These have always done well for me, and I know this one will grow just fine. We also have some Hygrophila sunset in the back right-hand corner of the tank. And for filtration, I'm just using a Hagen double sponge filter and a AquaClear 20 that I took out of my 20-gallon tank, and that's the setup. So I wanted to go, besides the lighting, simple, economical, with easy-to-grow plants. Here's the Hygrophila sunset. I love that plant. That has also grown well for me, so I know that'll do well there in the corner. And that is where we're at with the grow-out tank. So folks, hopefully something in there might have given you an idea for your next tank build. Please like, comment, subscribe for future content, and as always, folks, thanks for watching.